Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. Today's What's for Dinner video is a little bit different from my normal ones. If you're new to my channel or new to my What's for Dinner videos, normally I share every week what we had the previous week for dinner. But like I said, this week's a little bit different. My mom was in the ICU for a week and she's actually still in the hospital. She's just off the ICU and she had to have 2 emergency surgeries back to back. So I didn't do a What's for Dinner video last week. I know you all understand why, and I greatly appreciate that. So today's video is really the past 2 weeks. Now, it's not a full 2 weeks worth of meals because, to be quite honest with you, there were a couple nights, especially the first couple, that, you know, kind of everything happened and she had to have surgery and all that we just didn't eat. And then there were a couple nights that we either ate super late and we just picked up like Arby's or Taco Bell, or there were 1 or 2 nights where we just had like cereal super late. So like I said, I know that this isn't a typical one and I apologize for that. I'll try to get back to my regular ones, but I have a whole What's for Dinner video playlist with lots and lots of yummy weeknight meal ideas. So if you're looking for some yummy weeknight meal ideas for your family that are delicious, easy, and budget friendly, then keep watching this video and check out my What's for Dinner playlist. First up, my little sister, she had a birthday, and this was our family dinner celebration. If you've been with me for a while, you know, for our family birthdays, whoever, is their birthday, they get to pick whatever they want for their birthday. Now, my little sister turned 19, and she requested Dino Nuggets, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, my mom's green beans, and then a strawberry cheesecake. So that's what my mom made. And then mom and dad got their first little cucumber out of their garden, so she sliced that up as well. And then she had all kinds of dipping sauces for the nuggets. And it was, it was Dino Nuggets and macaroni and cheese. Everybody loves that, young and old alike. So it was a delicious birthday dinner for her. I had some leftover Hot Honey BBQ shredded chicken from my last What's for Dinner video. I'll try to remember to link that down below. And so I decided to make a pizza out of the leftovers. I'm just using this Great Value pizza crust mix. This is super cheap. It's under $1 and it's really easy. All you do is add it to a bowl along with some warm water. You mix it with a fork, and it doesn't take but just a few seconds for it to come together. I then spray some olive oil on the dough ball in the bowl, and then you cover this with a clean towel and allow it to sit for about 5 minutes. At that point, we are going to preheat the oven according to the package instructions, lay out the pizza crust, and then you want to prick it generously with a fork. And then we're going to par bake this for about, I think it's to package instructions, which if I remember correctly, I think it was about like 8 minutes that we pre-baked it. Now, I decided to use a little bit of this Kinder's Hickory Brown Sugar Barbecue Sauce combined with the Kinder's Honey Hot Barbecue Sauce, which is what I used for the chicken. I just didn't want it to be too spicy. So I'm going to spread that out and then add some shredded mozzarella cheese. And then once I've added the cheese, I'm going to add on my toppings. So I'm adding some pineapple tidbits. If you don't want to add pineapple to your pizza, don't. And then I've got some bacon crumbles. These I cooked up myself, but you could just use the stuff from the package. Next, I'm going to add some piquillo peppers. That's totally optional. You don't have to add that. Once I've added that, I'm going to add on my leftover honey hot barbecue shredded chicken. I just warmed it up in the microwave. I'm going to add some of this triple cheddar cheese, followed by a little bit more mozzarella. And then this is going to go back into the oven and bake for another 8 to 10 minutes until it is golden brown and the cheese is melted. I set this out for us to top our pizza with. I've got some of that honey hot barbecue sauce, some Mike's Hot Honey, and then this Parmesan pizza seasoning. This pizza seasoning is delicious. We got it like last year, I think, in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I'm almost out of it, so I'm going to have to find it online if I can, hopefully, because we really like this. And then just with the pizza, I did some quick side salads, and this pizza was so good. Next up, I made Korean beef bowls. I have shared this a time or two before on my channel. I'll link the recipe in the description box below for you and just kind of quickly go through it. So I'm going to start out by making the sauce. I've got some brown sugar, soy sauce. I like to use the low sodium, some sesame oil, and then gochujang. If you don't have gochujang, you can use some red pepper flakes. In this skillet here, I've got a pound of lean ground beef. You can use whatever kind of ground beef you want. You just may need to drain the fat off of it. I did season this with just a tiny little bit of salt and pepper. I cooked it until it was all the way brown and then added in some minced garlic and ginger. Cooked it for another 30 seconds or so. At that point, I'm going to add in the sauce mixture and then give that a stir and just cook that for a couple minutes, and that is good to go. I had a broccoli crown that I needed to use up, so I just steamed it up in the microwave, just the broccoli, a little bit of water, cover it with some plastic wrap, microwave it for 4 to 5 minutes, and then you can season it up however you want. And then this is optional, but we do like to have kimchi with this. And here is Gary's plate. I wasn't hungry at dinner time, so I ate later, but I just steamed up some white rice, laid that down, added the Korean ground beef, and then these garnishes are totally optional, but I like to add some sliced green onions, sesame seeds, and then some sriracha mayonnaise. We've got the kimchi and the broccoli, and this is so good. It's super budget friendly, and I feel like it's a good way to introduce Korean flavors to, you know, either kids or adults who are trying to, you know, kind of expand their culinary horizons a little bit. You're taking something like ground beef and, you know, adding those flavors, and you can do these bowls however you want. You can set out different toppings, different vegetables, and kind of let everybody make their own. But yeah, super quick and easy weeknight meal. Dinner the next night was off the meal plan, but I really didn't feel like cooking, so I decided to cook up these chicken fingers. Now, I got these at Walmart. This was our first time trying these, and if you get these, you need to make sure you pay attention that these are not fully cooked. You do have to make sure you cook these chicken tenders all the way through. That's really important. But y'all, these chicken tenders, I will definitely buy them again. They are by far the best frozen chicken tenders I've ever had. Gary felt the same way. They really do taste like you're at like a restaurant. They say they're like Raising Cane's. I don't know. I've never been to Raising Cane's, number one, but number two, I have no idea. But Raising Cane's or not, they were delicious. I would highly recommend these. And then to go along with this, I've got some of the Kinder's barbecue sauce, and a week or two ago, I shared this honey mustard sauce in one of my grocery hauls, and I mentioned that I'm very particular about my honey mustard. I like for it to be honey mustard, not honey Dijon mustard, and I used to buy the O'Charlie's honey mustard. They used to sell it in the stores, but they stopped a few years ago. And since then, I have tried so many different honey mustards. I found this one. I think I got this at Walmart, but I've also seen it at the Kroger. Guys, I have no idea if this is just local to me or what. So you know, can check at your local grocery stores. But if you like the O'Charlie's or like the Captain D's old honey mustard, you'll like this. This was really good. And then a day or two before at lunch, I had made some of the Kraft Deluxe box macaroni and cheese. We had it left over, and so I just warmed it up on top of the stove with a little bit of milk. And yeah, that was dinner that night. Super quick and easy. And like I said, I'll definitely get those chicken fingers again. Next up, I made fajitas. I didn't follow a recipe for this, but let me show you what I did. So in this skillet here, I've got this on like medium-high heat. I'm going to add in some oil. And then I seasoned my chicken up with some of this Kinder's fajita seasoning. I added that and some olive oil to some chicken breast that I thinly sliced, and I popped this in the fridge and let it marinate for just a couple hours. You totally don't have to do that, but I'm going to cook that chicken up until it is cooked all the way through, and it didn't take very long because I sliced the chicken thinly. I'm going to remove the chicken to a separate plate and then add in just a little bit more oil, and once it gets hot again, I'm going to add in my sliced onion, just thinly sliced onion with a red bell pepper and yellow bell pepper. Again, I'm going to add some of that same Kinder seasoning. By the way, not sponsored at all. I just really love Kinder seasonings. But if you're out there and you're with Kinders, wouldn't hate being sponsored. I love their products. I genuinely do. All right, I'm going to give that a stir and cook that for maybe 5 minutes or so until the vegetables are tender. I'm going to add that chicken back in, give that a quick toss, and then just cook that for, a minute or two to warm back up. At the very end, I'm going to add in some fresh lime juice. That's optional, but it gives it, just a little kick. And then that's it. That is the fajita mixture. You can, of course, do this with steak or shrimp, whatever you like. Now I'm going to make some quick homemade queso. This is really easy. Here I'm just using some regular milk. You can use cream, you can use half and half. To be honest, I've also done this with almond milk. Turns out just fine. Just heat the milk up slowly on like medium low heat. Once it's warm, you're going to take some of this sliced white American cheese. I buy it, just with the sliced cheese in the grocery store, but you can also get it from the deli. Doesn't really matter. We're going to add in some diced green chilies that we drain, along with a little bit of cumin, some salt, and then you just give that a whisk and cook it. Like I said, don't go more than like medium heat. You want to do it slowly so the cheese melts and doesn't scorch, and you've got your own homemade queso. It is so delicious, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with using like the Gordos and the other brands that you get from the grocery store, but this tastes a lot closer to what they have at the like Tex-Mex Mexican style restaurants. I've got some refried beans. I use Kent Rollins Easy Refried Beans recipe, which I've shared before on my channel. I'll link that down in the description box below for you. I was going to make my own homemade Spanish or Mexican style rice, but I was like, you know what, not really feeling it tonight. So I just used the microwavable packet and cooked it according to the package instructions. Now, of course, you can top your fajitas however you want to. I've got some shredded lettuce, shredded cheese, some guacamole, sour cream, pico de gallo, and then I have this little tiny bottle of Kinder's. This is their hot sauce, the taco. I got this at Walmart for like $1 for us to try. So I warmed up some tortillas and then assembled our fajitas. We've got the rice and the refried beans, and this was delicious. This was so good. For dinner the next night, I wanted something really comforting. I had some shredded cooked chicken, so I decided to make this chicken and dumpling casserole. I have shared this before on my channel, but it's so good and so easy. I wanted to share it again. This is from the plain chicken. I'll link the recipe in the description box below for you. So I've got the oven preheating to 400 degrees in this casserole dish, and this is like a 9 by 11. I've got some butter. I popped the casserole dish and the butter in the oven until the butter melted. Once that's melted, I'm going to add in my shredded and cooked chicken. You can use a leftover or rotisserie chicken for this. In this measuring cup here, I've just got some regular milk. Now, the recipe calls for all-purpose flour, baking powder, and salt. But in the kitchen with Mama Mel suggested using this Southern biscuit mix. And so I've made it that way since I saw her do it, and it is so good. But like I said, you can just follow the recipe and use the flour, baking powder, and salt. So you're going to mix that with the milk and then pour that over your chicken and butter. Do not mix this. Do not mix. Now to that same dish, everything's going in the same casserole dish. You don't have to worry about cleaning it unless you just want to. But we're going to add in some chicken broth. I'm using water in this chicken bouillon powder. And then a can of cream of chicken soup. I had the can of cream of chicken and mushroom in my pantry, so that's just what I'm going to use. Give that a good mix and then pour that over. Again, do not stir this. I topped mine with some black pepper. That's totally optional. This is going to go into the preheated oven. Again, it was at 400 degrees, and you are going to bake this for about 35 to 45 minutes or until the dumplings are golden brown. Once you pull this out of the oven, and this is really important, you want to let this sit for about 10 minutes. Letting it sit really helps those dumplings to form, so don't forget to do that. For the sides, super simple. I'm just going to basically doctor up these 3 canned vegetables. I've got the butter beans. Put those into a saucepan along with just a tiny little bit of, what did I do? Just had a brain fart. Lord, this perimenopause, y'all. Anyway, added a little bit of chicken broth, a little bit of garlic powder, salt, and then some brown sugar for the turnip greens. Just strained them, added them to a saucepan, added in some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and then the corn I added to a saucepan, drained with a little bit of butter and salt and pepper, and I just warmed all the vegetables. I've shared this before on my channel, my homemade potato rolls. These are so good. I'll link that video in the description box below for you. But I've mentioned what I like to do is make the full batch, and then I freeze them, usually in amounts of 4, because that's a good amount for Gary and I for a meal. And then I pull them out and warm them up in the oven, brush them with a little bit of butter. So that's what we've got here. Here are the plates. Everything was so good, and I forgot to mention this when I showed you the chicken and dumpling casserole. So I think the recipe calls for 3 to 4 cups of shredded and cooked chicken, but I usually use about 1.5 cups just because we like it to be more creamy, more brothy, saucy, but you can add as much or as little chicken as you want to. I've read the reviews on this recipe, and a lot of people said that they double the amount of the like dumpling mixture, so you can use the full amount of the chicken and do that if you want to, or do like me and use half the amount of chicken, whatever you want to do. But yeah, like I said, that recipe will be linked down below for you. Couple weeks or so ago, Gary requested homemade fried chicken, biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes. And if you've been with me for a while, you know fried chicken is like my Achilles heel of cooking. I've only made it a handful of times because really I hate deep frying anything. But also because the handful of times I've tried making it in my life, it never turns out. It's always like either golden brown and beautiful on the outside but completely raw on the inside, or burnt on the outside but still somehow raw on the inside. So I really wanted to try to make this tonight, and I have to say, if I do pat myself on the back, it was a success. A lot of that is because all of the tips that you all have given to me, and followed by a couple tips from my mom. Now, quick note too, if you're new to my channel, new to my What's for Dinner videos, I do have these two like comfort food videos back to back, but remember, this isn't a normal What's for Dinner video. These two meals were not back to back, but let me show you how I made this dinner. It was yummy. Now, I did not follow a recipe for this, but I did look at lots of recipes for fried chicken and kind of combine them all, and I did not measure anything. In this bowl here, I've got some all-purpose flour, and then I used all of these seasonings. Again, I just eyeballed them. I've got dried basil, oregano, and thyme, garlic powder, paprika, just a tiny bit of cayenne, onion powder, white pepper, and then not pictured is also just some salt and regular pepper. So I mixed that up together really well. Here I've got my little breading station. Over on the left-hand side in this bowl, I marinated some bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. Use whatever kind of chicken you want. I marinated those chicken thighs overnight in some buttermilk, an egg, and then those seasonings that you saw on the previous screen. Now, in this middle section, I've got my seasoned flour, and then I've got a plate that I'm going to add my breaded chicken on. I, put the chicken from the buttermilk into the flour, back into the buttermilk, then back into the flour, laid it on the plate, and I left it on the plate for about 15 minutes. I read several recipes that suggested that helps the chicken absorb some of the flour and helped the crust to stay on. Here is the finished chicken. So I fried this just in some canola oil. I did it in batches, and the first couple of pieces I felt like it was getting a little too dark before it got done. So on the second and third batch, I pulled the heat back to 325 degrees. I did the first fry at 350, and I felt like it did better at the 325 degrees. But I cooked these for about 12 minutes. I flipped them halfway through. Just make sure you cook the chicken until it's at least 165 degrees internal temperature. And once they were done, I put them on some wire racks for the oil to drain. Here are the biscuits pre-baked. I used that same Southern Biscuit Company biscuit mix I showed you for the chicken and dumpling casserole. I just cooked these up according to the package instructions and brushed them with a little melted butter at the end. And if you all can find that biscuit mix, it is so good. All you have to do is add buttermilk to the mix, and then, like I said, bake it to package instructions, and they turn out perfect every single time. Gary didn't request this, but I just really wanted macaroni and cheese for some reason. I used the Great Value thick and creamy, just cooked it up according to the package instructions. And then I made coleslaw. I've shared this before. I do not follow a recipe. I just take the shredded coleslaw mix, take my little hand chopper and chop it up so it's finer, add some mayonnaise, salt, pepper, and sugar, and then let it chill in the fridge for a couple hours. I wasn't really feeling the coleslaw tonight. I wanted some green beans to go with the mashed potatoes, so I did Mandy and the Makings green beans. I've shared this so many times before on my channel. I'll link one of the videos in the description box below for you. It was just me having them, so I just used 1 can of green beans. And then I set out some Mike's Hot Honey, some regular honey, and then homemade strawberry jam. This is a really, really quick and easy small batch strawberry jam recipe. I will put that video where I showed how to make it in the description box below for you. Highly recommend that. And here are the plates. So we've got the fried chicken, the biscuits, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, and then Gary had the coleslaw. I had the green beans, and this was delicious. The chicken did need a tiny bit more salt, but otherwise it was so good. The last dinner that I've got to share with you all in this video, I did a California club salad and then some baked potatoes. I did not film me making this. I was at the hospital with Mom this afternoon, and then the traffic coming home, Nashville traffic sucks. It took me forever, and so I really had no idea what I wanted to make for dinner. I really honestly didn't feel like it. I really greatly considered just having Gary and go grab something, but I was like, no, we've got food here. So I just put this together last minute. I have shared how I make the California Club salad, though. I'll put that recipe in the description box below for you. And then I don't know if you can tell from the plates, but these russet potatoes were so teeny tiny, but I needed to use them up. And so I just scrubbed them really well, rubbed them with some olive oil, kosher salt, cooked them in the air fryer until they were done. And then we just topped them how we wanted them. And yeah, it was a last minute dinner, but it was really good. I just want to thank you all real quick before I close this video out for all of y'all's well wishes and prayers and good vibes and everything for my mom. I haven't shared a lot about the details because it's really her business to share and not mine. But I will say the day that I'm editing and doing the voiceovers, it had been exactly 1 week since she'd been in the ICU and had her first surgery. It is, I mean, she's still got several days to go. She just came off the ICU today. She's still got several days in the hospital, and then either looking at home health for a while or a separate facility. But this outcome is a lot better, infinitely times better than the outcome that we were given when all of this first happened. So I'm very, very grateful to God, and very grateful that, you know, she's still with us and that she is healing and progressing. But again, thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. And again, thank you for watching. I hope that you got some dinner ideas. I will see you all next week. If you are new to my channel or you haven't subscribed, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe if you're not already. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.